Flying into Oshkosh is so rewarding. It's like this feat that you get to climb and conquer before having an epic week at EAA AirVenture. But every year, there are pilots that come barreling into the airspace that have no clue how unsafe they are making this whole process for everyone else. In this video, we're gonna talk about the top 5 mistakes that I think way too many pilots make every single year flying into Oshkosh.
I'm Josh, a pilot and flight instructor who loves the sky, sharing it with those around me and using it to see the world from a new perspective. Flying can seem super complex, but I make it my mission to promote safe practices while enjoying the beauty this world has to offer. Subscribe to Climb Into the Cockpit on future adventures. This is Aviation 101.
0991 New Orleans, clear to the Foley Airport via as filed. On departure, maintain 2,000 feet.
Just a couple of quick announcements before we dive into the top 5 mistakes. The IFR kneeboard notepads that I launched at the very end of 2022 have been a huge hit, and I've had to make several massive orders from my supplier just to keep them in stock. Everything is in stock at the e-store at aviation101.com, and I'm actually going to be running a coupon code from now through the end of July. Use code FLY2OSH to get 10% off anything in the e-store, hats, shirts, mugs, whatever you want. Get yourself some of those notepads to use on your long journey up to Oshkosh. Speaking of Oshkosh, of course, I'll be a part of several events as usual. That includes some meetups, panels, forums, trivia night, etc. You can head over to aviation101.com/OSH'23 to see the full schedule of events with a button to add whatever events you want to attend to your calendar. All right, let's get into it here. Flying into Oshkosh is so rewarding and awesome when it's done correctly and safely. Whitman Regional Airport in Oshkosh, Wisconsin becomes the busiest airport in the world for 1 week. Because of that, there are special procedures for arriving and departing the airspace. In this video, I'm mainly going to be referring to the VFR FISC arrival because that's what your average general aviation airplane is going to be flying on the way into Oshkosh. This is not a how-to video, nor is it an all-encompassing guide for arriving at Oshkosh. The IFR arrivals, the Warbird arrivals, all that kind of stuff has different procedures that I'm not entirely familiar with, but there is one place that you can read all about it and learn everything you need to know about these procedures. It's all in this beautiful document right here, the EAA AirVenture NOTAM. You can download the PDF on the EAA website. It is required homework for flying yourself into Oshkosh. Even if you're just going to be a passenger on the way into Oshkosh, you should still read the NOTAM to be familiar with the procedures and help out the pilot in command. I have a lot to say about this topic, and I think I'm going to release more of like a final thoughts video in the week leading up to AirVenture. But for now, these are my top 5 mistakes that I always see coming into Oshkosh. The first and most broad mistake that I see pilots make all the time is not reading or even familiarizing themselves with the required homework, with the notice that gives you all the procedures to fly in. This NOTAM covers every scenario, whether you cruise slow or fast, approaching from any cardinal direction, what happens if the airport unexpectedly closes while you're inbound, how to space yourself with other aircraft, what frequencies you need to monitor and when. It even lays out procedures for airplanes coming in that are not equipped with radios. I don't care if you've flown the arrival every single year, the procedures are tweaked every year. Download the PDF from EAA's website, read it, plan with it, and abide by it. You owe it to your passengers, the other aviators in the airspace, and their passengers to abide by these procedures. Be a respectable aviator and do your homework. Mistake number 2, flying in rusty. The arrival into AirVenture is already hectic enough. You have to be on your toes with spotting traffic, listening for radio calls, aircraft descriptions, being on speed, on course, on altitude, and also just making sure you're following the procedures in the correct order. If you're rusty, flying the airplane alone is going to be stretching you to the limit, let alone all of the other challenges that come with this arrival. That being said, if you're in the conga line and you start to feel overwhelmed or uncomfortable at any time, you can break off from the arrival, usually going out to the west, away from the Oshkosh airspace, steer away from the corridor, stay clear of traffic, and come back to the beginning and try again. Speaking of the arrival corridor conga line, whether you're on the FISC arrival, the Warbird arrival, or otherwise, do not cut in line. This goes back to mistake number 1. Read the NOTAM. There are predetermined VFR transitions to enter each arrival. Do not cut in line and enter the arrival somewhere in the middle. Once aircraft actually begin the arrival, everybody is set at a certain speed, at a certain altitude, and maintaining about 1 mile spacing between airplanes. If you cut in between 2 of those airplanes, you just cut their spacing in half, and now the people behind you have to hit the brakes, pull the throttle back, and slow down, and that's gonna cause a pileup behind you. It's freaking unsafe. Just don't cut in line. Start at the beginning transition. If you cut in line, you're gonna make it unsafe for all the other airplanes in the conga line. By throwing off their speed and spacing, you're gonna piss off a bunch of pilots, you're gonna anger the controllers, and if the controllers see you do it, they're gonna ask you to depart the pattern, come all the way back around, and start again at the beginning. Mistake number 4, talking on the frequency. There are so many airplanes concentrated in one tight airspace, and even the most skilled controllers cannot handle every single pilot replying to every single radio call. In fact, to help curb this, a lot of the times when the controllers on Fisk Approach or Tower are talking, they don't even let go of the mic button in between addressing airplanes. I know we as pilots like to hear ourselves talk a lot, but please don't. When you're on the arrival, it's tempting to chat with other pilots on the Fisk Approach frequency when you can't hear the controller. It should be fine to talk, right? Absolutely not. Trust me, the controllers are talking like crazy on the frequency, you just cannot hear them yet. They are using ground-based transmitters that are not as powerful as transmitters in TRACONs or control towers, and you may be 20, 25 miles away from where they're transmitting and you can't hear them, but the airplanes that are directly over the top of them can hear them, and they can also hear you. You're actually stepping on the controllers at Fisk Approach, and other aircraft cannot hear those instructions because y'all are chatting on the frequency. I saw this happen last year, and other pilots were actually getting really angry, and the controllers were getting really angry because a bunch of pilots way far out just kept chatting on the frequency. Controllers will usually have you rock your wings to acknowledge an instruction when you're directly over Fisk, and if you're paying attention and you've been watching the airplanes in front of you and listening to the radio calls to build your situational awareness, you should know when they are addressing you and when it's your turn to rock your wings. When you're approaching the airport, controllers will tell you things like blue high wing, keep it tight, start your descent, turn straight to the numbers, cleared to land on or after the green dot. And then of course, if you do make the decision to go around, it's okay to chime up and say, Blue Cessna going around. That leads me to the 5th and final mistake we're gonna talk about in this video, forcing the airplane onto the ground when it's not ready. It is your job as the pilot in command to manage your speed and energy from downwind all the way through base and final to touchdown. For example, if you're told blue and white high wing cleared to land on or after the yellow dot, use the yellow dot as your aiming point to land. You are not required to touch rubber to the yellow paint. I have watched and filmed many landings at Oshkosh go south because the pilot was forcing the airplane to get on the ground before the airplane was done flying. Under no circumstances should a pilot ever force an airplane onto the ground. If you overshoot your dot a little bit, just hold it right above the pavement, slowly adding back pressure as the speed bleeds off, and the airplane will gently settle onto the ground when the wings don't have enough speed to keep it flying anymore. If you're running out of runway, execute a go around and let the controllers know. If you're gonna be short of your dot, add a little bit of power and adjust to your aiming point. It's not embarrassing to glide past your dot, but it is embarrassing and dangerous to force the airplane onto the ground and lose control. Go beat up the pattern at your home airport before you make the long trip. Use the 1,000-foot markers on the runway as your dot, and practice managing your energy starting from the abeam point on downwind, all the way around to touchdown. And don't be afraid to spice it up with some short, tight approaches too. Sometimes they ask you to do that at Oshkosh. Again, these are just my top 5 mistakes that I see coming into Oshkosh. If you think I missed something important, please leave your comment down below. I might even pin it to the top if it's a big safety issue. Don't forget to head over to the OSH'23 page at aviation101.com. Check out the calendar of the events that I'm gonna be a part of at Oshkosh. Click the button to add those to your own calendar. And while you're at the website, head over to the e-store, get yourself some of those notepads, a hat, shirt, whatever you want. Fly to OSH will get you 10% off your cart subtotal. Until next time, everyone, you know the drill. I want you to stay happy, healthy, current, but most importantly, stay proficient. Go out and practice your energy management and spot landings at your home airport, and we'll see you at EAA AirVenture 2013 in Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
2013?
Is that what I said?
Yeah.
No. Go out and practice your energy management and spot landings at your home airport, and we'll see you at EAA AirVenture 2023 in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Fly safe.